I have realized over time that learning English is not something that happens overnight, and the real improvement comes only when we practice English day by day with patience, consistency, and a positive mindset instead of expecting instant fluency.
I have realized over time that learning English is not something that happens overnight, and the real improvement comes only when we practice English day by day with patience, consistency, and a positive mindset instead of expecting instant fluency.
Exactly, and when we practice English every day, even simple activities like reading a paragraph, listening to a short video, or speaking a few sentences aloud help our brain become familiar with the language naturally.
That is very true, and I have noticed that when I speak English regularly, my fear of making mistakes slowly disappears, because mistakes become part of the learning process instead of something to be ashamed of.
I think fear is one of the biggest reasons why people stop practicing English, because they worry about pronunciation, grammar errors, or being judged, instead of focusing on communication and gradual improvement.
Yes, and that is why practicing English day by day in a comfortable environment, like talking to a friend, speaking in front of a mirror, or even thinking in English, can make a huge difference in confidence.
I personally try to include English in my daily routine by writing a small diary entry every night, even if it is just 5 or 6 sentences, because it helps me organize my thoughts and improve my vocabulary at the same time.
That is a great habit, and I practice English by watching short videos, listening to podcasts, and repeating sentences aloud, which helps me understand natural pronunciation, rhythm, and sentence structure.
Listening is such an important part of daily practice, because when we listen carefully, we start recognizing common phrases and expressions that native speakers use, which later become easier to use in our own conversations.
I agree, and another helpful method is reading something in English every day, like news articles, short stories, or even social media posts, because it exposes us to different writing styles and new words in context.
Sometimes people complain that they do not have enough time to practice English, but I believe that if we really want to learn, we can easily find small moments during the day to practice, like during travel or before sleeping.
That is absolutely correct, because daily practice does not mean studying for hours, but it means staying connected to the language regularly so that English becomes a natural part of our life.
Another thing I have learned is that practicing English day by day helps us think in English instead of translating from our mother tongue, which makes speaking faster and more fluent over time.
Yes, thinking in English is a powerful habit, and I try to do that by describing my surroundings or planning my day in English in my mind, which surprisingly improves my speaking ability.
I also feel that consistency is more important than perfection, because even if we make mistakes every day, those mistakes teach us lessons and push us closer to fluency.
That is such an important point, because many learners stop practicing when they feel they are not improving fast enough, without realizing that slow and steady progress is still progress.
Practicing English daily also improves our confidence in real-life situations, like interviews, presentations, or casual conversations, because we become more comfortable expressing our thoughts.
Yes, and confidence plays a huge role in communication, because even if our grammar is not perfect, clear and confident speech helps others understand us better.
I think having a practice partner also helps, because when we speak with someone regularly, we feel motivated and responsible to continue practicing every day.
I completely agree, because practicing alone can sometimes feel boring, but practicing with a friend makes learning enjoyable and encourages us to speak more.
Another useful tip is setting small daily goals, like learning 5 new words, speaking for 10 minutes, or writing a short paragraph, because small goals are easier to achieve and keep us motivated.
Yes, and when we achieve those small goals daily, it builds confidence and creates a sense of achievement, which motivates us to continue practicing English regularly.
Over time, daily practice changes our mindset, because English no longer feels like a subject to study, but like a skill we use naturally to express ourselves.
That is true, and I believe that when we practice English day by day with interest and patience, fluency becomes a natural result rather than a stressful goal.
I am really glad we talked about this, because it reminds me that learning English is a journey, and every small step we take daily brings us closer to our goal.
I feel motivated too, and from today onward, I am determined to practice English every day, not perfectly, but consistently, because consistency is the key to real improvement.